lad. Trash shag bed for fun.
We're gonna freeze some on Facebook. Hey!
And you're fucking beautiful.
I think this university is so obsessed with lad culture. It's overcome everything students should be.
Well, lad culture in universities is a well-documented problem. In Cardiff, for example, over the last number of years, the police have seen spikes in sexual violence, particularly around freshers.
A lad is like someone who's shagged about.
Has ingrained sexism and lad banter allowed a newfound rape culture to become acceptable in universities?
People don't understand the concept of consent as much when they're at the end of a heavy night. I think they might misinterpret what they deem to be something as consensual to be.
Question, when is Men's International Day?
I think a lad was somebody who was shagged birds.
Most people have a clear understanding of what's appropriate and what's not. So why are young men finding the lines of consent difficult to draw in situations they consider to be grey areas?
Every girl I know who goes on a night out expects at some point in the night to be grabbed to dance with or to be tried to be kissed, and can't just go out and have fun and be happy that we're going to be safe.
And just how far is extreme laddism on university campuses affecting and damaging the lives of so many female students?
Sometimes they think it's okay to grope and grab. However, they definitely don't know that there's a boundary anymore.
Lad! I'm the king of the lads! Woo!
He is still a man. I love women.
Okay.
Fucking
One.
Let's have a good time tonight, inside the party!
Is a student editor for The Tab and studies at Cardiff University. She shares with me her experience of having a drink spike during a night out, an incident that was common among the women I spoke to.
I was spiked in a nightclub with a roofling and I just blacked out. I don't remember anything. I woke up the next morning with vomit all down me. Didn't remember anything, but I passed out in the toilets. I couldn't move and my friends had to carry me home. Just disgusting, really.
What do you think the aim is?
Probably just, to rape me or something. I'm just glad nothing like that actually happened to me. My friends took care of me. I know a couple of girls who have been assaulted who have been raped because of it, and it's just really sad to think that could have happened to me.
It's almost a taboo because rape is such a sensitive issue. To shout rape, to cry rape is something that you don't want to do, but if you haven't consented, then it's technically rape.
You've only got to look at the song Blurred Lines, which talks about those blurred lines and almost normalises some of that behaviour.
Areas around consent are becoming blurred, and it's now more difficult to define and identify these grey areas. In a boys will be boys culture, where women are routinely reduced to being seen as sex objects and everyday language is used which makes light of sexual harassment and assault, it is unsurprising that there is confusion about what sexual consent actually is. During Freshers' Week in September 2015, there were a series of sex attacks which took place across Cardiff. As a result, South Wales Police, Cardiff Council and all universities in the capital called for a crackdown on lad culture. I visited South Wales Police headquarters to find out what measures have been put in place to safeguard vulnerable students against violent and criminal behaviour.
It's getting the message across that predatory behaviour is not acceptable, it's not funny, it's not, it's not being one of the lads, it's just not acceptable. I think we're looking at what is the next step that we can do to make sure that this becomes business as usual, that protection is there, that there's information provided to people as they come in as freshers, that some preparation is done to try and avoid them becoming vulnerable in that period where there's a transition into being a student. There is some evidence of a number of things that happen within that sort of peer culture. There are things that we found out recently about the induction ceremonies with some sporting clubs, which are quite unpleasant and aren't right.
Shocking survey results released by the National Union of Students revealed that lad culture is becoming increasingly problematic across university campuses. I wanted to uncover exactly what these findings suggest and discover the extent to which women are now in danger of putting themselves at risk. Are we allowing a culture to exist where rape isn't seen for what it is? NUS Women's Officer Ellen Jones runs campaigns to help tackle lad culture and has called for consent workshops to be implemented across all student unions.
The term lad culture explains something that is called pact culture, where people try to impress each other and move with a pack. So thinking that something's cool, so they try and do it as well, such as like calling girls slags and etc., trying to get into bed with them. And this is actually, we call it lad culture, but a lot of it is actually misogyny. NUS as a whole has done a lot of work on lad culture and looked into what are the causes and how students actually experience it within university. What it's come out of those specific reports is that sadly 68% of students have actually experienced some kind of sexual harassment at their time at university, and this could mean anything from physical violence to unwanted comments and groping on nights out. For the last few years, NUS has been doing a lot of things, and student unions have been really good at getting on board. So a lot of people have probably heard already about the I Heart Consent campaign that we did, and that's explaining what consent is and explaining a bit more about how to act whilst you're at university and with each other, and that isn't aimed just at men but aimed at everybody.
It appears that our society is saturated with offensive and misogynistic behaviour. It's all around us, influencing the attitudes and ways in which young men now think. It stems from sexually explicit music videos right through to programmes and social media pages such as the Lad Bible and Unilad. The internet has been criticised for providing a platform which allows personal and sexist attacks to take place, creating an environment that is hostile and demeaning towards women.
Oh, be careful, madam. Looking a little bit moist. Wouldn't want you to slip over and land on me cup. On a Saturday, the girls get proper moist. If you know the trick to getting the bra off quickly, she's yours. Turn around and lift up your fucking shirt.
A lady came into the store one day asking for a German method of coal extraction. A German method of coal extraction she wanted. Mine shaft she got. In the store one day asking for a coal extraction. She wanted more fingers she got. My chunky she got.
This is one of the more extreme cases in a string of episodes at British universities which has been dismissed as harmless banter. Stirling University's hockey team is singing an explicit and sexually aggressive drinking song on a public bus. It raises questions about what kinds of behaviour towards women is considered as socially acceptable.
That's so brutal. Asking for a lady treat. And a lady treat she wanted. And miscarriage she got.
Freshers' events are sold on the promise of a good time, but some have come under scrutiny for the way they use sex as promotion. Lad culture has been pinpointed as a factor for the increase in sexual harassment, assault and rape seen on campus. Lad culture isn't just found across UK campuses, it plays a huge part in the social side of university life, where it seems to have taken a much darker turn.
Friends were like, oh, let's go on a night out. Went on a night out, got involved in a pull a pig competition, which put me straight back down to where I was. It's one of the reasons I choose not to go out anymore, because I just feel completely judged by absolutely everybody. Pull a pig is basically, you have a load of guys, obviously, their aim is to pull or to kiss the ugliest girl in the room, and then the guy that kisses the ugliest girl in the room is then considered the winner. Normally like girls like me who aren't like girly girl or conventionally good looking, maybe a bit overweight and stuff like that, they get picked on, and it's like, that's not good, because everybody's insecure. I found out that I was in that competition, I felt incredibly alone. I felt really ugly and horrible. The more guys there are, the more the guys feel like they have to prove themselves, the worse the stuff they do is.
Misogynistic jokes, so-called rape banter and pressures to engage in sexual behaviour are becoming accepted and even normalised. Evidence suggests that excessive alcohol consumption is linked to lad culture, which can be responsible for fueling acts of inappropriate behaviour. Nightclubs must be made aware of how sexism can spill into something much more sinister. I wanted to find out how one of the most popular clubs in Cardiff can ensure that students are being kept safe during a night out.
I've seen a lot of people change drastically over the course of a night due to alcohol. So they'll come in as one person, and then after maybe 5 or 6 drinks, when they're starting to get a little bit boozy, when they come to the bar again, they're maybe not necessarily the same person that they were a few hours beforehand. 9 times out of 10 on a Saturday night, we just don't let big groups of lads in, because there always tends to be a little bit of trouble that comes with it. Whether or not it's just misbehaving, whether or not it's fighting, whether or not it's annoying a female or whatever reason. On a Saturday night, they just don't come through the door.
I've been grabbed walking home. Yeah, I've had more negative experiences rather than positive ones on nights out.
Do you think lad culture is a problem then that needs to be
solved? It is a big problem these days, and it needs to be solved because girls should feel confident walking home on their own.
So many times I go into clubs and they touch my bum and I'm like, I've got a boyfriend, and they either don't believe me or they then do something really rude, like they touch, or they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, or like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just unnecessary.
I don't have a boyfriend and they still feel me up because they're all pissed.
Staff in the nighttime economy had the training to recognise vulnerability, and there have been some really good examples of early intervention, because they've recognised that someone's vulnerable, recognised that they're in danger of exploitation, recognised the risk of rape, for example, and therefore the student volunteers and the police have been able to help, and that's quite an important element of safeguarding.
University sports clubs and societies have been singled out as key sites where lad culture is particularly prevalent. Cardiff University's rugby club recently hit headlines throughout the mainstream media following complaints over the team's display of inappropriate behaviour. In an attempt to tackle the rise in lad culture, a ban was imposed by the university to prevent the club from accessing their students' union. What we are seeing is the latest and most severe series of backlashes against the club's conduct, with their behaviour often dividing opinion and provoking negative press attention. I bumped into members of the rugby club while filming for this documentary, and they gave me this interview.
All the rugby club care about is winning games and having a good time. And we have a good time between ourselves, and I feel like we're an easy target. Very easy target for people to say, oh, they're sexist, they're misogynistic, they're xenophobic. It's not at all. We have so many cultures, so many sexualities within our rugby club. It just doesn't matter.
They made an example of the rugby team and it's impacted publicly for the child, so had interviews and things like that. So it's definitely something that they're making more of an issue.
We agree that what we did was wrong. We agree that.
What did you do?
Initiation. That's all I'm saying. Initiation. No more to say.
It's not been made clear exactly why the club got banned, but they have publicly apologised and admitted that their behaviour was out of line. This interview was interrupted by a group of girls who wanted to share their opinions of the rugby team.
The rugby boys got banned from the SU for lad culture.
We did get banned from the SU.
Yeah, why?
I'm not going to say that, but that was sorted out with the
They're very territorial.
If you stand anywhere near their corner, they'll be like, oh yeah, get out of our corner.
Yeah, but if you're walking through anywhere else, you're not surrounded by all of their friends.
football boys reside. What has come with the lads? It's this rape culture. It's disrespecting women, which is unfair and it's untrue.
I have been swindled by a rugby boy, so I wouldn't get with him. Like, I genuinely have. As a joke, me and
I would say,
yeah, you do get like
as a third-year rugby player, I would say that is disgusting. You both were pretty fit.
Does belonging to a sports society mean that these men are complicit to a culture which thrives on banter and sexism? I spent time at the University of South Wales's rugby club to investigate whether being part of a pack has given rise to the acceptance of lad culture. Just how do you decide if something is funny or whether it's clearly overstepped the mark? It would seem that the boundaries are becoming blurred, so I felt compelled to find out if being part of a team influences how these players behave both on and off the pitch, and whether it's fair to point the finger at one group and claim that we have found the problem.
Difference with sport is that there's more of you together. So if you are on a night out socially, you're talking up to 30 boys, whereas laddish behaviour, if you're out with just a group of friends, 3 or 4, then obviously that's going to be completely different.
Loud, messing around, not really caring what people think of us. We do it and just don't care about the consequences really sometimes. Everyone's a lad really, so yeah. If everyone says to do something, eventually you're going to go into peer pressure and do it. They tend to forget all their morals and just go for it.
He's big, he's back, and he loves the birds.
I just remind players that they're representing themselves, and what your actions define who you are. And if you want to be judged by your actions, don't do stupid things.
Silly boys messing around maybe. Can't go around acting silly all the time because they'll associate bad behaviour with your uni, won't you? Well, won't they, sorry. So you do have to behave a little bit. It's just etiquette, I suppose, and everyone's aware of that. So all the boys take that into consideration whenever they're doing anything, social side or on the rugby pitch. 100% of the time I'm totally in control of what I do, so yeah.
You know, I think it's part of a sports culture really. I think that's why so many people play sport, that they want that belonging, and in that environment there's going to be a bit of banter, but it's nowhere not to step over that threshold where it becomes could be bullying or something that we're not going to tolerate here as a university. And just educate them that, especially if a lot of our players want to go into the sports industry or teaching, that one little slip up could cost them their career so early on. So yeah, we're quite conscious of that really.
In an attempt to confront a culture which has spread so rapidly across campus life, Cardiff University Student Union became one of 9 in the UK to take part in the NUS Anti-Lad Culture Pilot Scheme. These campaigns are aimed at encouraging young women to come forward and report incidents of sexual violence and assault, and to offer support so issues are no longer left in silence.
Common misconception when people bring up the term lad culture is that people automatically think about a group of rugby boys or football boys, but actually it's really important to note that this is both male and female and mixed groups, and it happens everywhere. So it's about making sure that you're not stigmatising one group and saying it's just their fault. This is something that we all need to tackle collectively, because we can all be capable of it, and we can also all be subjected to it. A lot of the time we're tackling behaviours which people think are just banter, where actually they don't know that they're really hurting someone, where you might not feel like you're harassing someone, or you might just think it is a bit of fun. But it's getting that culture away that you need to always be thinking, could this be what I'm saying or what I'm doing be hurting someone?
Young women are now subjected to sexual harassment, groping and even physical assault in nightclubs, acts which are viewed as a normal part of a night out. Many of the students I spoke to shared similar experiences of enduring abuse, which often goes unnoticed or isn't taken seriously enough.
I feel like sometimes lads think they can just rope you in clubs.
And it's like acceptable, and if you say no, they're like, why?
Yeah.
Like you probably know, walking down Queen Street on a Saturday night, you're going to get people shouting things at you. So I do think it is a societal thing that people haven't learned about their bodies, people haven't learned about their feelings properly and been taught what is right and wrong. And we need to start doing that, especially for our children in schools with sex and relationship education. The statistics are increasing of rape and violence in our society at the moment. Women are blamed for making themselves vulnerable a lot of the time, whereas we're not blaming these people who are harassing us or attacking us.
In a society where nothing is off limits, trivialising sexual assault and laughing at rape banter has become commonplace. In 2014, more than 700 students at Cardiff University signed a petition to ban comedian Dapper Laughs from doing a gig at their students' union, after students complained that his jokes trivialised rape, unprotected sex and dehumanised women.
It's crossing the boundary. There are some of his jokes that are just not PC and not okay, and to allow him to come in and as a female just be like condoning what he's saying.
Right, babe, we ready to go? That skirt's a little bit short. No, you look lovely, but why do you want me to look at your legs? Change it. No, change your fucking...
I've seen a decrease after the whole petition, because I think a lot of guys didn't realise how much it offends females.
I'm on my way to Little Natalie to attend a Be Bold for Change event, which is the theme for this year's International Women's Day. Events such as these celebrate the achievement of women and campaign for gender equality. Women all over are fighting back against violence and misogyny in an attempt to stamp out sexism and clamp down on lad culture. If this kind of behaviour is tolerated, it is feared that there will be destructive consequences within the next generation. In our anything goes culture, has it become okay to be sexually offensive towards women? And has it become harder to recognise that misogyny even exists? It seems that we are now bearing the brunt of a cultural shift which has become so entrenched in young people's lives and across university campuses.
Misogyny should be a hate crime in the same way that there's disability hate crime or race hate crime, because I think you only have to look at the Everyday Sexism project to see the sort of sexism that women are encountering on a daily basis, which is almost normalised. And when we normalise that sort of behaviour, what happens is that it can escalate and it's seen as being okay. Actually, the way that women are often perceived are sexualised, and the fact that we don't have measures in place to tackle what can be seen as banter or lad culture can often lead to those sorts of things happening. So it's absolutely imperative that as a society we're all challenging that lad culture, whether that's in universities, whether that's on Twitter or social media, or whether that's in our sort of political systems. We must get men on board.
Sex and relationship education is still not compulsory in school curriculums. To help combat a campus culture which is at risk of harming so many young ordinary people, it's important that the government begins to take action before it's too late and the situation becomes worse. To stop any unwanted physical contact from happening so often, we must start teaching what consent means.
Because it's not acceptable. Yeah. Like, I don't go around to guys being like grabbing on their asses, but somehow it's fine for them.
It's horrible, but I'm used to it. It's horrible.
Exactly, and that's why we don't tell people, but we should.
I feel like maybe teach boys about respect a bit more.
Yes.
Definitely. Please,
Yeah.
thank you. Open the door for someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there are men out there who call that sort of thing out and are brave in standing up to perhaps their mates who are engaging in that sort of banter or laddish culture, which is actually, let's tell it as it is, it's sexism.
So do you think women can stand together and eventually just get rid of lad culture?
I'd like to hope we could, yeah, that would be really good. I mean, it's the way things should be. It should have been a long time ago, but we're obviously getting a bit closer to it now, which is really good.